I have given a name to my pain.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
Where does he get those wonderful toys?
My life is really complex.
Winged freak terrorizes. Wait till they get a load of me.
Hey YouTubers, Hankster here, and welcome to another movie review. And this is going to be a special movie review, or at least a special movie review series, because we're going to be focusing on all 6 of the previously released Batman movies. And I'm also going to throw in the 2004 Catwoman movie starring Halle Berry, just for good measure, and of course obviously for a lot of obvious reasons. This is of course all to help everybody get into the upcoming latest installment of the Batman series, Dark Knight Rises, directed by Christopher Nolan. But first, we'll start off with the 1989 release of Batman, directed by Tim Burton, and starring Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, Kim Basinger, and Robert Roll. Excuse me. All in all, this is of course one of my favorite Batman movies of the whole set, obviously because it's the first one. Of course, this was the most hyped of all the Batman movies because, beforehand, this was not really any major Batman movie that ever was released. This was basically in the same, going on par with the Superman movies that, up until, 4 of those, and the only other DC superhero at the time that had his or her own movie was, of course, Supergirl in 1984, I believe, 84, 85. But this was kind of getting out of that slump that, of course, the Superman movies were kind of getting into when they stopped making them originally stopped making them in 1986. But, of course, this was very, very well hyped and very well liked. It was one of the biggest grossing movies of that year and was one of the top movies of all time, and I think it still is. If you look at the box office records from 1989 to now. As I said, it was directed by Tim Burton, who was, of course, the perfect choice to direct such a film, trying to get the point of view back to the original dark version of Batman as opposed to the camp and silliness that both the live-action TV series of the 1960s did, and of course Batman's appearances on the Super Friends also did to a point. Also, I want to explain something. In my opinion, I really can't call this an origin story because Batman was already in he's at the very beginning of the movie. He's more of trying to establish himself as a superhero in this movie after becoming Batman. He's not just, they're not showing, his parents' death and then moving on to how he trained and got all his gadgets and stuff. Which Batman Begins, many years later, kind of filled that void in and did quite well doing so. And I'll explain more when I get to that review in the near future. Of course, it was an interesting choice to have Michael Keaton take on the role. Obviously, Michael Keaton and Tim Burton had worked together, of course, the previous year in Beetlejuice, 1988. But it was interesting to see Michael Keaton move from being a comedic actor from such movies as Beetlejuice and Night Shift and Mr. Mom, and doing in a more dramatic action role as playing the Dark Knight. And but he did quite well, playing both Batman and, of course, his alter ego Bruce Wayne. Excuse me. Kind of getting you kind of get into his psyche as well. You get to know Batman and Bruce Wayne in this movie as well. Of course, another obvious great actor in this movie, of course, was Jack Nicholson playing the role of the Joker. And, of course, his alter ego, Jack Napier, working opposite actor Jack Palance, who, of course, played Napier's boss, his gangster boss, who, of course, he takes over after he becomes the Joker. Also did a quite good job as well. Basically, it was basically more of an origin story. It'd be more of the origin of the Joker as opposed to Batman. Batman had already was already there and establishing himself and bringing fear to criminals and such. This is basically Batman's first major battle with the Joker, and making himself more from being a vigilante and more of a crime fighter, full-blown crime fighter. Also, I mentioned Robert Wells in this movie. He, of course, played the role of Alexander Knox, the lone reporter who believed Batman was a real character, not more than just some sort of urban legend, and wanted to, basically wanted to make the stories true, even though he was ridiculed by his fellow reporters and avoided by the police. Including, of course, the crooked Eckard, who, of course, gets his at the end of the in the middle of the movie, obviously. Was also interesting. Beforehand, I really didn't know that the Joker was, always looked like that. I thought he maybe put makeup on, but to make himself look like the Joker. But that actually, until Dark Knight, Joker basically always looked like that. He didn't need makeup. His body and face was always like that. So that was a pretty interesting move there. Now, I do have to say one bad thing about this movie, and that is, of course, Kim Basinger, who, of course, takes on the role of Batman's first major love interest, Vicky Vale, the reporter/photographer. I don't know. The only thing good about her is that she was a good screamer. Everything else about her just kind of turned me off. She's just more like an opportunistic whore who took advantage of Alexander Knox's need to have somebody to believe him and help work with him on the Batman case, and all she wanted to do was to get with Bruce Wayne, and that kind of thing, and that kind of turned me off. She was pretty much a weak character, as opposed to other Batman female characters out there that later would come out. But that's just my opinion. It just really got turned off by Kim Basinger in this movie. But outside that, all she was good for was screaming and being a love interest for Batman and sort of a desire for the Joker. But outside that, everything else was great. Obviously the devices and gimmicks and stuff used in this movie was fantastic. The Batmobile was great. The Batjet and all that. They didn't pull out the stops using special effects in the movie. Yeah, obviously, of course, this is back when they still had to use models. This was still before the full-blown use of CGI in movies. But it did quite well for, this waning period of the original special effects period. And all. So, definitely, if you want to start watching Batman movies, this is definitely this is the first one you should always get and watch first. Wait till later to watch Batman Begins, unless you want to get yourself acquainted with, the Nolan series before going to see the latest one that's coming out. But all in all, this is a good Batman movie to watch. Good starting point for the all 6 movies. And of course, stay tuned here on the Multiverse. We're going to be having another review next on the second Batman movie, Batman Returns, also directed by Tim Burton and starring Michael Keaton. So stay tuned here for the Multiverse for more reviews. Take care.